You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't. Hi, Chad Franzen here, one of the hosts of Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch law firms and lawyers about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure you're getting the best ROI, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com and schedule a free marketing consultation. Usman Shaikh is the founder and managing partner of US Law Group, a boutique law firm with offices in Beverly Hills and New York City. Usman founded his practice on entertainment and corporate transactions and is proudly a first-generation American. Hey, Usman, thanks for joining me today. How are you?
Chad, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. Hey,
Thank you.
As we get started here, tell me a little bit about your childhood and what brought you to the U.S.
I came to the U.S. as a young child with my parents. I didn't have much say in that. I was just 6, 7 years old. My family immigrated just like many other first generation immigrants for a better life in the U.S. for their kids to be able to have the opportunities that the United States affords.
Great. So how did you learn English?
Believe it or not, I learned English from watching cartoons. You'll find that as a child, you pick up English or any language pretty quickly, especially if it's spoken regularly. So by watching a lot of TV, I was able to pick up English. Of course, I was in ESL, which is English as a second language courses in grade school, but it was through the interactions of Saturday morning cartoons where I really learned English and perfected it.
Was there one cartoon that you give particular credit to?
There's quite a few. I don't want to age myself, but as a child of the 80s, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, things of that nature.
There you go. Very nice. Hey, what made you decide you wanted to become an attorney?
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't know I wanted to be an attorney. Both my parents are in the medical field. All of our cousins and extended family are in science and mathematics and engineering. When I was in undergraduate at Rutgers, I was actually pre-med because that's something that my parents were pushing me towards. Again, very immigrant kind of mentality, going into medicine, things that are considered safe. Now, interestingly enough, my mother was, before she started her career in medicine, was an actress back in our home country. And I, in high school, dabbled in theater. In college, I got a minor degree in theater. I modeled in New York City in my late teens, early 20s. And so I kind of knew that medicine really wasn't the field for me. And at the same time, my parents, being these first generation immigrants, wouldn't allow me to go into the entertainment field to become an actor or producer or director or whatever that might be. So the legal profession actually was a happy medium where my parents were happy and satisfied that I was going to have a career that was considered safe. And I knew that it was a career that offers a lot of opportunity. You can become an attorney and work on Wall Street, which I ended up actually doing, or come out to Hollywood and work in the entertainment industry, which I always had a passion for. And that's obviously what I'm doing now.
Tell me about your law school experience.
Law school, I went to the University of Pennsylvania Law School. It's the same school where our former president Donald Trump went. In fact, Ivanka Trump was in my class, not albeit in law school, but at the University of Pennsylvania. It was a very rigorous, cutthroat type of environment, but I really thrived in that. I'm a very competitive person, and being around peers that are striving for such excellence, it drove me to be the best I could be. Now, at University of Pennsylvania Law School, along with other Ivy League type of schools, the pressure is to work at what we call big law. These are the big law firms in the country or worldwide, and get one of these cushiony jobs working at 1,000+ law firm. It's not geared towards trying to, especially at that time, I should say, maybe things have changed, maybe going out and founding your own company or starting your own law practice or working at a tech startup or going into government work or becoming a public defender. Things that like those types of jobs are not really pushed at these types of law schools. So I also was geared towards working at a big law firm, which ended up being Winston and Strawn in New York, 1,000+ law firm. I worked at their corporate department. It was a great training ground, great experience, great work environment. But you're working, you have to bill 2,000 hours a year, which if you do the math, that's billable hours. That means you're basically working, 60, 70 hours a week, which I was fine doing at that age. I mean, I was a young kid out of law school and very, kind of a gunner and wanted to work hard. But after a while, that takes, it takes its toll on you. And the quality of life, isn't that great. So I kind of started by the time I became a fifth year associate, I started to look around and say, hey, this is not what I want my life to be for the next 20, 30, 40 years, whatever that's going to be. So I had the opportunity when when the Great Recession of 2006, 2007 occurred. I was doing corporate transactions. A lot of the work I was doing was directly related to or affected by the recession. So it gave me a good opportunity to kind of look around and say, hey, what is it that I really want to do with my life? And I always had, as I mentioned, a passion for the arts and entertainment. And it was a good time for me to kind of just pack up and head to the West Coast, LA, where I knew literally one person and kind of just start over and really get into the entertainment industry.
So you started your own practice out there?
I first worked at a top five talent agency, not as an attorney, but as an agent trainee. So these are talent agents, kind of like the show Entourage, where it's that kind of environment. Again, very cutthroat, very dog eat dog, and very fast paced environment. But you're at the heart of the entertainment industry. All information in the entertainment business flows through the agency, so it's a great training ground. So I did the agent training program for several years, and then being the entrepreneur that I am, I knew I wanted to do something on my own. And of course, I had this great legal background, and now I had this great knowledge of the entertainment industry. So I kind of just merged them and started my own law firm.
Hey, when you say you described law school and also this entertainment agency as cutthroat, dog eat dog, can you kind of give me some more context on that? What does that mean?
Well, in the law school environment, it's obviously your rankings, your school rankings are very important. So everyone wants to be in the top 10, top five. So it's everything from some underhanded things like people sabotaging each other and not sharing notes or information, those type of stories. And in the agency world, it's also very cutthroat and competitive because as agent trainees, everyone is trying to get promoted to become an agent. So they always say at these at the agent trainee programs that it's the acceptance rates is harder than getting into Harvard.
Wow.
So to get into WME or CAA or ICM's training program, it's actually a very small pool of applicants who actually get accepted out of thousands of people that apply every year. So once you're accepted, now you have to go through the program to actually become an agent. So again, you see a lot of competitiveness, a lot of dog eat dog, backstabbing and whatnot, but that comes with the territory.
So you decided to start your own practice. Tell me a little bit about that process and what the early days were like.
Sure. I actually started the practice again during the recession. Um, it was an interesting time because I actually recognized a paradigm shift in the legal industry at that time. Um, Having come from big law, where you have thousands of attorneys billing all the time, and the hourly rates are, partners are thousands of dollars, associates are hundreds of dollars an hour. It works for when your clients are billion-dollar corporations. It doesn't work for startup clients or smaller businesses. So the paradigm shift that I noticed was that there was a need for top-notch legal services, but clients weren't willing to pay the extraordinary legal fees that they had become accustomed to, or even the hourly rate model. So when I started US Law Group, my commitment was to client service, to be able to provide top-notch, sophisticated legal services that are on par with big law, but to do it at a reasonable cost to the client with flexible fee structures, flat fees, deferred fees, things of that nature that especially our startup clients, would be more happy with. And also, it was an interesting time because that was also the time when a lot of venture capital money was coming into Los Angeles. Los Angeles, you've obviously heard of Silicon Valley. Los Angeles had something called Silicon Beach that was emerging at that time. So my background as a corporate lawyer who came from Wall Street and worked at these big law firms, providing those types of services, but to startup clients who didn't have the funding or didn't have the financial resources to afford those types of law firms, it was a great match because they got the sophistication and the great legal work that we were able to provide, but at a fraction of the cost.
Was there anything as you kind of got started, it's one thing to work for somebody, but kind of being in charge. Was there anything that stood out that maybe you didn't know that you didn't know at the time?
There were a lot of growing pains. I started this firm by myself, literally out of working out of a kitchen on a laptop. Now we have offices in New York and here in Beverly Hills. We hired over the years other attorneys. So now there's myself and three other senior level attorneys. We have a junior associate. We have a paralegal. We have law clerks. So the growing pains actually came with being able to manage. I'm the managing attorney, obviously. It came with being able to manage and delegating duties. That was something I wasn't used to, not having ever had a business of my own. I was very hands-on, especially in the early days when I was handling every single client. I was handling the billing. I was handling the back end. I was putting up the website. The learning process was to be able to have a trusted team that you can delegate duty to and not micromanage and let them just run off with it. So now we have certain clients that certain attorneys at the firm are responsible for. They're the point attorneys. I'm on the management side. I oversee everything, but I give my colleagues the leeway to make decisions on their own and handle the clients as they see fit.
What have been some of the biggest turning points as you've grown from, as you said, working in your kitchen on a laptop?
I think it was just building a reputation for stellar legal work. We are, constantly given accolades and awards. I mean, I have here behind me an award that we recently received for Best Entertainment Law Firm for 2022. It's the reputation that we built with our colleagues and clients. We do very little marketing. We don't have a team or any online SEO service, or we're not out there, paying a lot of money for advertising. It's a word of mouth, and we're also very picky about the type of clients we work with. We're not a retail law firm, if you will. You can't just call us and we'll answer the phone and we'll take you as a client. We have actually a vetting process. So all of our clients have actually come from other clients, mostly referrals, either from existing clients or from our colleagues. And again, I think that's because of our reputation.
Where did your first few clients come from?
Those were through personal relationships. I was very fortunate that when I worked at ICM, in the agent training program, I had built a good network within the entertainment industry. So a lot of our entertainment clients came from my relationships from ICM and the agent training program. And a lot of our corporate clients came from my time spent in New York as a corporate lawyer. So it was all relationships that I had cultivated over the years.
Is there one moment or that you might look back upon that you're particularly proud of? Maybe a big success or a career highlight?
I think in 2019, we had what I thought was a very pivotal moment in our law firm. We were hired by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as they were opening up to the West. So now you probably have seen on social media, they just had a very successful film festival. They had a very big concert recently with a lot of American and Western artists. Back in 2019, this was all new, and they actually handpicked our law firm to help them navigate that and to open up and to make deals with artists to bring them over for concerts and live events. So in 2019, we helped the Saudi government put together a concert, which was the first time that men and women were able to be together and dance in public, which at that time was actually forbidden. We also helped them bring U.S. actors and musicians for various events that opened up their country to the West, and also to showcase them to Hollywood as a preeminent place where business can be done.
Who would you say are might be a mentor of yours, and what would be that person's best piece of advice for you, or in general, some mentors and their best pieces of advice for you?
I've been fortunate that I've had many mentors throughout my career in the various fields that I was in. In New York, there were several senior partners and even senior associates who really mentored me as a corporate attorney. When I worked at ICM, an agent training program, I had 2 or 3 bosses who were talent agents that I worked directly under, and they really mentored me, and I got to see how they handled themselves in the entertainment industry, which is a very unique industry, obviously. When I started my own law practice, there was an attorney who unfortunately has passed away now, who really showed me how to run your own law firm. And a lot of these growing pains that I mentioned, I would call him up on the phone and he would explain, kind of guide me through. So his name was JJ Little, and he's somebody that was very important.
You mentioned the entertainment industry being unique. What are some of the ways maybe that you have to handle yourself that might be different than in another industry?
I think in the entertainment industry, representation, and I mean agents, managers, and lawyers, they have to conduct themselves in a way that is reflective of their client. So if you're representing an A-list actor or a big production company or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you have to conduct yourself in a way that represents your client. It's a little bit different than, for example, being a criminal defense attorney, where your interaction with your clients is a little bit different. We also have our clients also are clients for hopefully for life. I mean, some of the clients that I have, I got when I first started the law firm back in 2012 are still our clients 10 years later. That's because we represent their business interests, their creative aspirations throughout their career. Whereas, again, using that example of a criminal defense attorney or a personal injury attorney, it's a little one-off. You handle the client's case, and then hopefully in the criminal defense context, you never see your client again. But for us, it's a little bit different. So I think it's having the image and carrying yourself in a way that is reflective of your clients. That's very important.
Sure. I have one more question for you, but first, how can people find out more about US Law Group?
Our website, www.uslawgroupinc.com. That's INC. And I should say US stands for Usman Shaikh, not necessarily United States, as people might have guessed.
Sure. Hey, final question for you. What are a few daily rituals that you find most important? Like, what's a typical day for you?
A typical day for me is I get out of bed and I meditate. I clear my head and I have a path to, or I visualize what my day is going to be like, who I have to call, what emails I have to respond to. In fact, I don't even look at my phone until I do my morning meditation. And that clears my head, that gives me a perspective, and kind of lays out the road map for the day. And then I also like to get a quick workout in before I start my day.
When did you find that meditation was particularly valuable, or how did you find that?
I was like many lawyers, stressed out, and I would wake up, and one of the first things I would do was looking at my emails before I even got out of bed, and all these emails would be coming in, and I'd start panicking and stressed out, and I realized that's a horrible way to start your day. So I started to look into meditation. I spoke with a spiritual guide who started to guide me through the meditation process, which has been tremendously helpful.
Okay, very nice. Hey, Usman, it's been great talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
God, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You
And
too.
Happy New Year.
You too. Thank you. So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.